and happy Manga Monday! If you aren't new to the channel, you might be wondering why I'm not in my chair, but I'm getting up close and personal with this here bookshelf today as I put myself fully on display, admitting how many manga on my shelves I've actually read. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I encourage you to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy manga content, and all that jazz. So I'm gonna take this one bookshelf at a time. I don't have enough ego to get me through more than one, outing myself along the way here. So I'm gonna probably make this a series if you all are interested in videos like these. So please also hit that thumbs up button, comment below what series you have read on this shelf and what haven't you as we go along, for that sweet engagement. So yeah, now that I've gotten all the YouTuber spiel out of the way, let's get going. We're just gonna take it row by row on this shelf right here, and this is mostly fantasy romance manga that is complete, or as complete as it can be. And yeah, let's start up top here. So we're starting off real easy, real nice for me, because we have Fruits Basket. This is OG manga for me, my gateway manga, and it's just a series very near and dear to my heart. I have read it at least 3 times, possibly more all the way through, but I'm at least know I read it 3 times all the way through. It is just really good in my opinion. It's got great comedy and an interesting concept in the beginning that morphs into a more dramatic and intriguing plot that thickens as it goes on, and all the drama and the intensity really amps up. And yeah, I'm just a super fan. I could talk about it all day, all night. But yeah, we're starting off strong because I read all of Fruits Basket. Obviously, I really liked Natsuki Takaya, who is the mangaka for Fruits Basket's vibe and her storytelling and her characters. So I picked up all of her work. But have I read all of her work? No. I have honestly not read the next one, which is just a one-shot that I could easily plow through in a day, and that is Songs to Make You Smile. And then right next to it is Phantom Dream, which I also have not read. I believe when I first got it, I read the first volume. It had a much darker tone to it, and yeah, for one reason or another, I just didn't read it all the way through. And I still haven't. Go me. Next. After that, we have Tsubasa, Those with Wings. And I did start this one. Again, I read the first omnibus, but I did not finish this one either. This one really has the old art style that you see in the very beginning of Fruits Basket, and it makes me nostalgic, and I definitely really want to read it. It's got way more leaning into a fantasy vibe, old fantasy kind of dystopian world premise. So yeah, I swear I'll get to it again. Okay, so now we move on to the first real shelf here, and look, it's Fruits Basket. Hey, I read that, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad. And after that, we have Fruits Basket Another, which is just a spin-off of Fruits Basket following like the next generation. It really doesn't touch on any of the main cast in the first series, which is disappointing, but it's not altogether horrible. I did read this short 4-volume series. It's fine. It's just not as good as Fruits Basket by any means, in my opinion. So next up we have Lizalette and Witch's Forest, also by Natsuki Takaya. And this one is so good. I did read this one, but this one is the first entry into our complete but yet not complete, because it's on indefinite hiatus, meaning who knows if it'll actually ever be completed, which I think is such a shame, because I really liked this one. I got super into it, and it's just a bummer that it doesn't have like any satisfying conclusion to this series. Our last Natsuki Takaya series is Twinkle Stars. So again, you might notice a pattern. I read the first omnibus I think I might have read the first 2 omnibuses. I was reading this one as it came out, which is a fatal flaw of mine. That sometimes I will start doing this and then just never end up finishing the series because I get like feeling like I'm lost as I keep going, and I'm like, I need to like just start again. And then I don't start again once the series is finished. At least I haven't yet, but eventually I will restart it and finish reading Twinkle Stars. But yeah, let's just move right along, get past all of those, and we have Wake Up Sleeping Beauty. This is a 6-volume series with a little dash of fantasy supernatural that is just chef's kiss for me. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I recommend it, and I have read it completely. Next, going 2 for 2 here for a little mini streak. I have read The Sacred Blacksmith. It is complete in 10 volumes, and I do talk about it in this video, talking about series that sadly disappointed me. Yeah, I don't think it's bad by any means. It's just that the final volume, the ultimate fight that everything was amping up towards, is kind of a letdown in my opinion. But you can hear more about my thoughts if you want to check that video out. Next up after that, we have Romeo and X Juliet, or Romeo Juliet. I don't know if you're supposed to say the X or not. I don't care. But this is just a one-shot that I haven't read. I don't know if it's because like I am not a huge Romeo Juliet fan. It's a sad, freaking depressing story. And although I like the way this one is set up in a very different vibe and giving a lot more agency to Juliet and just more intrigue into her character, in my opinion, I wasn't like ready for the possibly probable ending of the same name of the Shakespearean tragedy anyway. So yeah, let me know if you've you know, watched it all the way through, if you read this one shot, if maybe I am just being a baby about it. That's entirely possible. And then we'll follow that up by Eureka 7. So Eureka 7 is one I watched the anime, all 54 episodes in its entirety. I really, really liked it. I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out or was re-released or whatever to watch again, and then I haven't actually rewatched it. And then I found this lot on eBay. They're not in the best condition, these volumes, but they were a really good price, and it was hard to find all of them for like a halfway decent price, so I snatched them up thinking, oh, maybe I'll do like a rewatch and a reread or something, or one and then the other, and I just haven't done either of that. But yeah, Eureka 7 has a spot in my heart as one of those nostalgic animes that I grew up watching. And yeah, then we're moving right along to the 3rd shelf. So the 3rd shelf is probably one of my best shelves on here. We'll start in the back here, and this is a short series called The Bride and the Exorcist Knight. I did read this in its completion. I really liked it, but it is a big age gap. The boy is a boy, and the girl is quite a bit older than him. And but yeah, it didn't bother me, but I'm sure it will bother some people. Next, underneath it, we have Her Majesty's Dog. So Her Majesty's Dog, I actually ended up reading in, I believe, 2021. It was kind of at the very end of 2021 when I started going, I need to buckle down and read more of these complete series on my shelves. And then I kept challenging myself to read more and more of them through the next couple years until we get to today, where I've been trying my very best to read at least 8 complete series on my shelf a year. So yeah, but this one was pretty good, complete at 11 volumes. And yeah, I thought of unhauling it, but I enjoyed it enough. I just don't think it's like anything amazing, but I think the characters are fun, and it's got a nice fantasy premise and story with a little mystery in it. So yeah, I just decided to keep it. Next up here we have the very short 2-volume series of No Vampire, No Happy Ending. This one, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a letdown. I think partially because it's short and the premise, whenever they do a short one that has fantasy elements, I think it's really hard to, you know, tell a actually good story because you have world building to do and character development and like a relationship, you know, to build, because there's like a bit of a romance subplot in here. But yeah, the romance feels very unconvincing, uninteresting in my opinion. But I like the art and I like vampires, so which is what the series is about, so I've kept it. Next up we have Darling in the Franxx. This is a 4 omnibus series. And no, I've never watched the anime. I'm very curious because I heard the endings are completely different. I actually really enjoyed the manga. I'm not gonna lie. Like, is it a lot of fan service? Some very weird suggestive writing of the mechas things that I don't feel like are as necessary for the story, but overall it was interesting. I finished it. I liked it. I don't think it's great, but I kept it because it was amusing. It was an amusing time. It's an amusing time. Next we have Kokoro Connect. Kokoro Connect is complete in 5 volumes. I also watched the anime of this and I liked both, but I actually think I preferred the manga. There was something about the way you could like delve more into the characters' minds, especially as they're going through all the shenanigans that they get roped into, like body swapping and supernatural things keep happening to them. So I liked it because it was interesting premise-wise. Again, it wasn't bad and I enjoyed it. Next up we have Beasts of Abigail. This is another short series complete at 4 volumes. And I really loved it. Okay, I recommended it to someone though, and they were like, what is this trash? I don't know who recommended me this. Luckily they forgot it was me. Whew. But they were like, this was lame. It had like no satisfying ending. It like was really boring or whatever. I mean, they went off on it. They were not kind to it. And I was just like, oh shit, that was me. I liked it. But that's like I say, you never know if someone's going to agree or disagree with you on the manga that you like. And we had like a lot in common that we enjoyed, so I just really thought she would like it, but nope. So take my recommendations always with a pinch of salt. Or heap. And next up is If Witch Then Witch, a short witchy 3-volume series. He like dresses up as a girl to help his friend, and yeah, it's kind of silly, but it's cute enough that I kept it. Again, I don't think it's anything special, but I thought the art was fluffy and the premise was soft and cute. And then we have Sky Blue Shore. So this is 2 volumes here on the shelf. I believe those were the only 2 volumes that were printed by Tokyo Pop back in the day. But sadly, this is another completely incomplete series, but not because the series itself is incomplete like with Lizalette, but because they just never finished printing them here. So yeah, I liked what I read of that one, but you might never get to collect the whole series. Back to one I haven't read, we have Orange. So Orange is one of those ones I haven't read because I wasn't necessarily spoiled or anything, but I could tell when it was coming out, the vibe around it was tears and sadness and drama. And I was like, I'm not really feeling it. I don't know if I'm feeling the tears and the sadness and the drama. And so I didn't watch the anime. And then when the manga came out, I thought, yeah, I can read the manga. That won't be as sad. So I collected it. I really want the box set though instead. I'm so bad. But I still haven't read it. Moving right along, we have Daily Report About My Witch Senpai. So this, I thought, I had wrongly thought it was complete at 2 volumes. I read those 2 volumes last October and talked about them. And had to tell people in my complete, Halloween-y time reads that this was not in fact complete, but I read it for this video, so I'm including it. But yeah, volume 3 just came out this year. I haven't read volume 3 though. Yeah. But I have read all of As Miss Beelzebub Likes. This is a 12-volume series, and it is so cute and so fluffy. It is pretty much practically about nothing, like the slice of life, the day-to-day workings of the underworld, and yet it is the cutest, softest, fluffiest thing that you will ever read. I swear to God. I mean, are there some weird characters, some weird side characters and weird plot lines? Yeah, not everything is peachy keen 100%, but it was still a really fun time. It wasn't perfect. There's things I would have chopped out of it, but I especially love our main two characters and a main little budding relationship throughout. It's so cute. Then we have Spice and Wolf. This one is complete in 16 volumes. And although I finished the old anime, I say old because there is now apparently a new Spice and Wolf anime being produced, and I think if not already released, it is currently releasing. And yeah, I mean, that's really cool. Again, kind of like with Fruits Basket, the original anime didn't follow the whole story, and this one seems like it's going to try to follow the whole story. We'll see. But unlike with Fruits Basket, I actually never finished reading Spice and Wolf. I got to around the same point, probably like a little farther, I don't know, but around the same point as when the anime actually ends. Which you'd think would be where you'd be more excited to keep reading, but for some reason my dumbass never did. This is one of the most embarrassing ones to admit that I haven't actually completed reading, just because I really love Spice and Wolf. Like, I would recommend it to people, like, as a soft, more like slice of life fantasy, a fantasy that's more focused on the merchant side of this interesting world. It's very dialogue heavy, and it's very slow paced, but it's really interesting and analytical and intelligently written, in my opinion. It's just I feel bad recommending something when I haven't actually finished reading it. Oh my God. Again, it's on my to read list. Seriously, guys, I swear. As so many are. Moving along, on our fourth shelf here is The Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. And yes, I did read all 15 volumes of this complete series. I'm feeling redeemed again. This one is another really good fantasy romance. It's very, I'd say, romance forward, but there's a lot of really good side characters and world building as well. And it's about a fantasy world in which humans and beasts do not get along. The beasts are intelligent like humans and everything, but they're a lot stronger, and humans are essentially afraid of them. The humans choose someone, usually a young girl, to sacrifice to the beasts. And it just so happens that the beast king is not so into having sacrificial humans, so he always lets them go. But with this sacrificial human, he feels a strong connection to, and things progress from there. And yeah, I think it's really touching. It's really sweet, but there's also some real, like, kind of serious, darker commentary on society and imbalances, and you know, like, you can see the real world parallels is what I'm getting at. And yeah, I just think it's a really good overall series. Moving on. Then we have Gaku and Alice. I love Gaku and Alice, and I implore Tokyo Pop, please, Tokyo Pop, can we get a reprint of Gaku and Alice? I love this manga. I first watched the anime, and again, like many animes of the early 2000s, they just took a big chunk of it and then never actually kept going with it. It was never complete. And I just really fell in love with the characters. It's very comedy heavy in the beginning. It's got a magic system where these kids go to this school to learn about their special abilities called Alice's. So this girl, Hotaru, gets invited to Alice Academy, and her best friend Mikan is not able to let her friend leave her like that, and she ends up following her all the way to the academy, and they're obviously not going to let her in because she's just a loser human. Or is she? And that's where our story begins, and it's so good. It's very early 2000s comedy though, so I don't know if people jumping in right now will enjoy it as much, but the main boy character is quite a little jerk, we'll just say that. But I was super into that back in the day. Still am at times. I love Mikan. I love how, again, similar to Fruits Basket, this story starts off so comedy heavy, very silly, goofy times, and then it just starts peppering in these more serious, more dramatic, more darker elements to the story, and it really gets dark. Like, it's dark. Like, you might look at the first couple of volumes and say, oh, this is for kids. Like, yeah. It's for kids to be traumatized by, I'll say that. It left a little scar on my heart because I read it all online after I watched the anime, and whew, boy, that was intense. But sadly, Tokyo Pop, they never completely finished printing Gaku and Alice before they bit the bullet. I believe 16 volumes were printed, might have been 17. I only got to collect 1 through 13 and then volume 15. I didn't even really try to get volume 14 in the end. I was going to fill that hole, but now I'm just kind of like hoping for a reprint at this point, but I really think it's great. And another one by our lovely mangaka of Gaku and Alice, Tachibana Higuchi, is Portrait of Eminem, and I really like this one too. It has a way more simplistic plot, following just 2 weird characters. One who gets weak in the knees when anyone gets a little physical towards her, a bit of a masochist. And then that secret of hers gets found out by a fellow classmate, but he is interesting in his own way. He, at the sight of himself in a mirror, will have tears in his eyes of how beautiful he is. Yeah, he is a narcissist. So a masochist and a narcissist, do they make a perfect couple? It's simple, it's so cute, and again, it was not finished. Oh, I hate this trend by Tokyo Pop. My collections are so sadly incomplete. But yeah, I still really like that one as well. Then we have Bloody Mary. So this one is complete at 11 volumes and is technically a shoujo beat, so should be on the next shelf over. But there was room here, okay? So don't be too hard on me. This one is a vampire one, and it also feels Shonen Ai vibes to me, very much so. So, you know, vampires, cute boys, like, need I go on? I picked it up. I kind of forgot about it, or it might have been up for possibly me reading this Halloween season, but oh well. Maybe next year. Then we have the final shelf. Starting things off with some one-shots, we have Rizzle Mine. So Rizzle Mine I got because I really enjoyed the anime. Again, this is not me recommending this by any means. This is young Zoe liking this childish and over the top, a bit ecchi romantic comedy that's just stupid in the end. Crap. But I still had to get the manga just like because the anime was never released, I don't believe, on DVD that I ever saw anyway. And so it's like a little dose of it. Actually, it's quite condensed and like basically the whole plot without all the filler and stupidity, so it's not bad. And yes, I did read it. Next up, we got another one-shot I believe I got from Right Stuff called Koihime Soishi. And no, I've never read this one-shot. And let me know if you have. Is it any good? Next up, I don't even have this one complete, and that is Land of the Blindfolded. I have toyed with the idea of trying to complete this one. I read these first 2 volumes back in the day when I was just, you know, starting to collect manga when I was like, I don't know, 12, 14. I don't remember exactly when I got these particular volumes. And I read them. Because back in the day, once I got a volume, I actually read it 100% of the time. Calling myself out. But yeah, so I read them and I didn't hate them. You know, I didn't dislike them, but I just like wasn't like super intrigued or anything for some reason. So yeah, I don't know. But if I restarted it, maybe I would become more intrigued and actually want to finish it. But for now, I just have these first 2 volumes. Next up, we have the 2-volume omnibuses, Inukami. So again, Inukami is an anime I watch. It's very ecchi. It's very stupid, over-the-top rom-com energy. Well, it's a very silly one, but I got the manga because, again, I don't think the anime ever came out, and I thought it was funny back in the day. I haven't actually read this manga all the way through. I think I like flipped through it. I started it maybe like a couple chapters, but I didn't read any of it. Next up is Castle of Dreams. I started this one shot, but I never finished it. I actually just really wasn't that intrigued. I've never read Kerekano, and I've never watched the anime. It just doesn't, like, it seems so melodramatic. I don't know. It's also called His and Her Circumstance, I think. I've never watched or read it, but yeah, if you have, let me know if it's any good. And then below that we have a manhwa, Land of Silver Rain. So this one was recommended to me by someone in the Instagram community. I really love when people recommend me things, and then if I find them for a great deal, which I did this one, I buy them. I just don't always follow through with the reading part. So the art in here is absolutely gorgeous. I'm obsessed with the covers and the art. I just haven't read it yet. So yeah, I think I might have read the first volume, but I don't remember at this point. Next to that is Juvenile Orion. This is one I read a long time ago, between those years that I mentioned, like 12 and 14, when I got into Fruits Basket and I was trying to start other manga. I would say this was my second favorite after Fruits Basket. I love Juvenile Orion. Does it still stand up for me? I don't know. I haven't reread it, honestly. I might have reread it in high school. I don't recall. But since high school, I have not reread it like I have with Fruits Basket. But Juvenile Orion just felt very over the top, very melodramatic in my memory, and I haven't felt inclined to reread it. But it's a huge nostalgia of mine, and I did enjoy it. There was one that I read at that time that I did unhaul, which I kind of regret. Someone commented on my unhauling video and asked what series I regret unhauling, and there's actually only been a couple. But if you want a video of the manga I have regretted unhauling, let me know about that as well, because that's a video idea, I guess. Next, we have one that I didn't finish completing. He's My Only Vampire. So I only got the first 3 volumes of this one, then it went on to print. I had a chance, like they had like Right Stuff had a yen press sale for this series to like get rid of its stock, because I guess they knew it was like not going to be reprinted or whatever. And I could have gotten those volumes for $6, and now they're just harder to get my hands on for a reasonable price. But I was like broke ass at that point, so again, I haven't finished that one. And have I even started reading it to see if I'd want to finish it? No. So yeah, I'm good. Next up is the manhwa Model. This is another vampire story, so of course I had to snatch it up. Plus it didn't hurt that the volumes were literally like $2 or $3 on Right Stuff during like one of their Christmas sales or something, where they like sometimes mark down the old series by a lot. And it just so happened they had all the volumes, which was nice, because sometimes they have only some of the volumes, and then the other volumes you find out after you buy it. I haven't read that one yet. The art looks really nice though, which is why I bought it in the first place. Next to that, we have Deers. So Deers is kind of like Oh My Goddess, and these kind of space or fantasy type. They're all very harem-esque and ecchi. But yeah, while Oh My Goddess and Tenchi Muha had animes that I watched growing up, this one didn't, so I was kind of intrigued. So when I saw it for a decent price on eBay, I grabbed it. And yeah, I read the first volume for a challenge on Instagram someone did to like try to read through first volumes. And it's very much an early 2000s read, so I don't know when I'll read through it, but maybe someday I'll feel nostalgic for that time period. And then we have Some Days Dreamers Spellbound. So I didn't know this, but when I purchased the first volume of Someday Dreamers Spellbound, that's actually like a spin-off or a sequel series from Someday Dreamers, full stop. So I've never actually read Some Daydreamers, and I still really enjoyed Some Daydreamers Spellbound. It's been a while since I've read this one as well, but it was also a top contender when I was young. I just really liked it, and art's really fluffy. That's all I remember. But it is complete at 5 volumes, but just know it is a spin-off. I don't think you have to have read Some Daydreamers though, because I never did, like I said, and I enjoyed it just fine. Then we have the 2-volume omnibuses of Kashimashi Girl Meets Girl. This one is weird. I hesitate to say that it is my like first foray into Yuri, because I wouldn't say it's actually a Yuri, but yet it kind of is a Yuri. It's complicated, all right, I'll just say that. But yeah, this boy gets hit by like a spaceship, alien spaceship, and dies. The aliens feel super duper bad about it, so they bring him back to life. They take his soul out essentially and give him a new body, a girl's body. That don't matter to the aliens, so why should it matter to you? So yeah, then his childhood friend who always had a crush on him, and then the girl who spurned his advances, you know, start a little love triangle, and it's just very, very silly, goofy, and catchy and weird, and the weirdest premise. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really weird but fun. A weirdly fun read. And then we have Demon Flowers. So this is another complete. Tokyo Pop only managed to publish the first 4 volumes. So yeah, my cousin got them and told me about them, and that she really liked them, and so I picked them up, but I honestly never read them, and I was really bummed out to find out that they never finished printing, so that was another reason I haven't read it yet. Then we have Kami-sama Kazoku. Kami-sama Kazoku is only got like the first 2 volumes published, or maybe a little more, but not the whole thing published, by Go Komi, which is an old publisher as well. But I picked up the 2 volumes, I don't know, like I didn't even realize the manga ever had been released, but I watched the anime of this and I just really loved it. It is nothing special by any means. It's just about this god's family and the guardian angel that he grew up with, and this boy that's like the son of God and is essentially like a god, but not a full god or something. I don't remember exactly, but he doesn't really want to be a god. He just wants to live a normal life, and yeah, it's cute and romantic comedy and just like sweet and has that lovely little fantasy vibe throughout. So I really enjoyed this one, but again, it's like, I don't know if it's really any good anymore, and I never actually read the volumes of it. It's just nice to have like a physical representation of it, because again, the anime never was released in my knowledge anyway on DVD or anything, and so yeah, just have like a little bit of them in this series that I really loved when I was younger. Next up, we have Night of the Beasts, a 6th volume series complete. And I really got into it in the beginning, and then once I finally got the last volumes, I wasn't as into it anymore, and I don't know if that's because enough time had elapsed that I'd forgotten things, or things didn't make sense, or it just simply wasn't as good in the tail end of the series. And yeah, it left me feeling very disappointed, but again, I feel like I need to reread it and like actually like read all 6 volumes in like a shorter amount of time to really judge if it was just me or the manga. But yeah, that one's one that I did read. It's just that like I'm not sure if I liked it enough or not to keep it, so I need to reread it at some point. But one that I read more recently is Chibi Vampire. This one is complete at 14 volumes, and I absolutely love it. The manga is so much better than the anime, but I did watch the anime first. I watched it when I was growing up. It was called Corinne, I think. Corinne. And I really loved the anime, I'm not gonna lie. But once I read the manga, I was like, oh my god, they did the same thing where they like gave it an ending, but it wasn't really the ending. And the manga goes so much more in depth with it and gives like a really bittersweet ending. Like I love that ending, like, because it's just like, it makes you happy but makes you so sad at the same time. Next to that, we have Recipe for Gertrude. This is a 5-volume series that I bought off eBay a couple years back because I thought it looked interesting and sounded different and was an older series that I hadn't read. And I still haven't read it. It's just been sitting, just been chilling on my shelf. Anywho, then we have Saikano. This is a great series, complete at 7 volumes, and I talked about it in my older nostalgic series with beautiful covers. So yeah, I really recommend going to check that video out to hear more of my thoughts about it. But yeah, it's just a really good like sci-fi story, plot, concept, I guess. But it's very heavy on the romance, as you know, find out more if you watch that video on it. But yeah, it's really good. And lastly, on the shelf we have Full Metal Panic. Again, very early 2000s. I grew up with that anime being one of my favorite animes. I watched that one, the second season I think, and Fumofu, and I kind of lost interest. And I think a 3rd season honestly came out. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like I didn't actually finish all the anime that was out, or movies came out or something. But yeah, but I was really heavily invested in that anime. It was one of my favorite animes. Again, angry girl, tsundere kind of girl, and a quiet, stoic, gruff guy in this instance, who's really like strong and capable, but a dunce about girls, you know. Anyway, another very typical mashup, very you know, typical will they won't they vibes throughout. So yeah, I just really loved it. But I have to be honest with you, I picked up the manga a couple years ago and I just have not read it. I just thought, oh, maybe I'll enjoy the manga a little bit more than I would if I if I bought the anime and watched it again, because I feel like kind of it's a product of its time. But I don't know, I can't compare because I haven't even started it, to be honest with you. So we're ending on a pretty low note, but overall I feel like I read about half of the manga on this first shelf. I mean, you can do the math for me below in the comments. Let me know exactly how many of these series I read out of the total amount of ones I have here. But yeah, I'm gonna feel better about myself and say it's about 50-50, yeah. And with that, shelf 1 is done. Again, like I said, if you like this type of video with me outing all the series I actually have not read or never finished reading, then like for part 2, and I will tackle another shelf, whether it's more romance or possibly going into the action adventure section of my shelves. But yeah, you can also suggest which one you prefer down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next week for the October manga haul, and I might have an extra video dropping on Halloween. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss it if I do. It would just be a wrap-up of everything I read pretty much in October. Another chill video. But yeah, I hope to see you there, or if I don't do that one, I'll see you next Monday, hopefully. So until then, bye!